Hey everybody, Tyler with Meeple Mountain here, bringing you another board game review, this time from our friends at Funko Games, and we're going to be looking at a new title that they have that I saw at Gen Con, which is the Rocketeer Fate of the Future. This is a two-player game where players will take on the roles of the villains from the very old beloved Disney movie, or the heroes. They're going to be playing a little bit of an area control with a dash of hide and seek, mixed in, and they're going to be playing through various rounds of the game, trying to wait until the blimp, the Luxembourg, gets to San Francisco, and see who has acquired the most points by collecting finale cards through the various ploys and plays and schemes that they'll be doing. It's a really fun, little tight, dudes on a map, action control, hand management style game. There's a lot of cool different game types merged into this title, and so I'm really excited to show it with you. It plays relatively quickly, it's easy to teach, and is a blast to get to the table. And I haven't seen a game in a while come out with the Rocketeer IP, so I was really excited to get my hands on this and take a look at it. It's one of the classic Funko small boxes, but there's a lot of content packed in here, and I think you guys are going to enjoy what you see. So excited to jump in and share with you guys a little bit about how the Rocketeer looks and plays, and my thoughts on it as well. So without further ado, let's blast off and learn how to play the Rocketeer. The Rocketeer Fate for the Future is a two-player game where you are going to be moving your three particular units around the board, trying to claim area control for the 6 various areas on the main board, all while trying to get one up on your opponent by various card plays, actions that you'll take, all while keeping the plans safe or collecting the plans, depending on your team, while waiting on event cards to trigger the blimp, the Luxembourg, to move closer to Los Angeles and claim finale cards. This is the main directive of the game. Points, this is a victory point based game. You are going to be collecting finale cards throughout the course of the game, and you will be claiming victory points based on what those cards say. We'll take a closer look at them momentarily, but let's kind of talk about the large aspect of the game. Each player controls 3 either heroes or villains, and those characters are going to be able to be moved around the board to claim a majority in a specific area, gaining the bonus that's listed in that given location if they have a majority there. They will also gain a short-term bonus as they move into a specific area. And so there's lots of movement happening on the board, as well as actions happening through various card plays. We'll take a look at the hand of hero and villain cards as well in just a second, but the overview is, effectively, each player has an activation token that they will flip when they want to activate that particular character. They'll take an action with that character, doing whatever things they decide they want to do within the rules for that character, and then that character will not be able to be activated again until every character has been activated. Once all 6 characters have been activated, the round will end, an event card will be flipped, and we will take a look at what happens on the board. We'll take a look at any effects or changes that may occur. We'll see if the blimp moves 0, 1, or 2 spaces further towards the end of the game. If the blimp makes it to Los Angeles, that is the game timer. That means the game will have ended. But if not, we will continue play. We will reset our character tokens, and we will take another round of actions, moving back and forth 1 character each until all 6 have went. And we'll wash, rinse, and repeat this until the game has ended. There's a few other tokens and things of note here we'll talk about in this view, and then we'll jump in and kind of talk about the characters, the heroes and the villains, and what your turn looks like. There's 2 tokens, main tokens in the game. There is Grit, which are these little winged, little badge-looking pieces, and there is Clout, which are these gold shield-looking pieces. Grit, every character, with the exception of 1, has a max grit of 2, and grit is effectively how you can fight in the game. If 2 characters are the same location, they can choose to take an action to brawl with the other character, and they will expend cards and grit to potentially damage the other person. And for every damage that is unchecked, unblocked by the recipient of that damage, they will lose grit. And if they would ever lose enough grit to where they don't have any more grit and they take an additional damage, they will be knocked out for the round and will not count towards area control. So that's another way that you can gain an edge on your opponent. So that's grit in a nutshell. Clout, you're going to collect collect, and you're going to spend clout to activate specific card abilities. Cards will always have two functions that we're going to look at here in just a second, but they have a basic ability and a special ability that requires, oftentimes, if it's a good card, clout to use. So let's take a little bit of a closer look at some of the cards in the game and talk about what they do, which the cards we're going to look at, we're going to look at the villain and hero hands of cards, how you'll play them. We'll look at the event and finale cards, and we'll look at the plans and talk a little bit about how they work. The short version is there's effectively two dummy card plans, and there is one actual rocket plans, and you're trying to keep these secret because if you are ever knocked out by an opponent and have the actual have the actual plans, you will have to lose them. So say, for instance, one of the enemy villains here knocked out our poor Jenny Blake, and she had the plans. All of these cards have now been stolen. The plans have been stolen by the villains. They're going to take them, they're going to shuffle them, they're going to secretly decide where the plans go, and now they're going to have the plans. And the plans will give you a massive advantage in each round, as it's another way that you will score additional bonuses on the actual game board itself, and you will score finale cards by having the plans. So having the rocket plans is definitely key to getting an edge, an advantage in this game. So let's go ahead and jump in and look at some cards and talk about how they work as well. Here we have a smattering of all of the cards that you'll see and encounter as you play Rocketeer, Fate of the Future. Here we have the main hands of the heroes and the villains. Each player is going to have a hand, starting hand of cards that are going to be comprised of cards that look similar to this. Every card is going to have two abilities at the bottom that can be used, and they're going to have a ribbon and some cover art at the top. The ribbon is initially the most important thing. As you'll notice, it has symbols on it. Those symbols will be the square, the circle, and then the hex. Those are going to tell you which particular unit that you can use this card on, or multiple units. And you'll notice every miniature for a hero comes with a similar thing. You'll notice the one hero has the hex, a square, and a circle base that tells you what ability that card, what symbol they're attributed to. So it's very easy to say, like, oh, I need to move someone down here, and I see it's a square, so I'm going to need a card that has a square symbol on it to activate. So you'll notice that in this case for the heroes, that's only this teamwork card because it has the square ribbon, which will allow the square hero to be used. We noticed in this example, we could use a circle here or here. We actually don't have a hex option unless we wanted to, instead of using the square, use the hex. And so those are some of the fun choices that you're going to be pushing is, who do I activate with what card? How do I use them? What do I do? Now at the bottom, you'll notice there's a red bar for the heroes, a yellowish green bar for the villains, but same thing, and then a text area. The leftmost area here that you're looking at, the red bar for the heroes again, is an example of a basic action. If you activate a hero, let's just say we did blindsided, we would activate the hero, and we can take this ability, and it costs us nothing to use beyond the card. We'll discard the card, and we'll do the actions in order if we want to. And so that will allow us to shift our location up to 0, 1, or 2 spaces on the board. So again, thinking about the board, there's 6 lines. You can move up or down 2 from wherever circle is. Wherever you stop, you'll gain a benefit, the bonus listed on that particular space, and then you'll be there if you need to be contending for area control of that zone. The ability below that is a brawl. Brawling is again how you'll be spending grit, dealing damage to your opponent. You can spend grit to up the damage that you may be doing as well, potentially, if you use certain abilities and things like that. You'll notice this particular card down here has a shield. Shielding is the other aspect of grit, which when you play a shield card, it will allow you to protect against some of the damage of a brawl, and it's a way that you can kind of counterplay. And there's some fun choices of, do I play this card for its shield ability? Do I keep it for defense? Do I play it for its really nice ability here? There's lots of fun choices that the cards are going to give you. The other side of the card is the ability of that card. You'll notice that it has a title and it has some text. It's going to walk you through the specific ability of that card, but it also is requiring clout. to play most, not all, because you'll see here we have one that doesn't cost anything, but most of the abilities in the game, you're going to spend some amount of clout that you have to have in your reserve, and you have to spend it out to play that ability. And so there's always some fun choices. Even if you have 5 cards in hand, you have 10 options, maybe more depending on your heroes that you're contemplating and balancing. So the hero cards, the villain cards, give you a lot of choices and a lot of fun interactions on the board. This is obviously where the meat of your strategy comes into play. Let's talk about some of the other important cards, which are the event cards and the finale cards. The event cards, every turn an event card is going to come up, and it's going to have basically 3 main aspects. You're going to look in the top left, and you're going to see if it has a blimp, maybe 2. If it does, it's going to move the blimp forward towards Los Angeles and continue to progress the timer on the game. That's all that does. Next, you'll see that there's some fun text and a little bit of a descriptor of an event that may occur. So for instance, here we see shady business at the Sinclair Mansion. You're gonna see the player with the plans may hide them. So what that means is if you have the plans, you can shuffle them around. Any revealed plans through various cards or actions, sometimes they'll get flipped up and revealed. You can hide them, flip them back face down, and reshuffle. That's a great card. Then you'll see that there's a star symbol here. This is the last token we're going to talk about in the game, which is the finale token. This is one of the main ways you'll get finale cards in the game. This is going to be placed at a specific location on the map, and whoever has area control of that location on the map at the end of the round will get a finale card. These are kept secret, face down, and then are revealed at the end of the game when the blimp gets to Los Angeles, and that's how you're going to score points. Points are ultimately how you're going to win the game. So you really want to be fighting over wherever this token goes, and again, this token is dictated on where it goes every turn by the event card. So that's a fun mechanic. You can never really plan 100% on what you need to be controlling because that token is going to keep moving and shifting your alliances. So, finale cards. There's so many different ones. Some of them will give you straight points, 1 to 3, just points for having them. Some will give you points and additional points if you meet a specific requirement. For instance, this particular card says you'll get 2 points just naturally for having the card, but additional 2, so 4 total, if you control the Sinclair Manor at the end of the game. So those are some things you can try to plan for and things you'll look for from your opponents and say, okay, I see he's really locking down the Sinclair Manor. There's no reason to do that. He must have points there. I should try to mess with that if I can to reduce his score. So there's some fun strategies there. Others will give you points for tokens maybe that you have. This is an example of one of those where you're getting points for every set of 2 clout that you have. So you might not want to play special abilities. You might want to try to just stockpile clout because that's points. And so you have some fun choices there. There are tons. I feel like it's not true, but I feel like almost every card in this deck is a completely unique card. There's so many different points, and I love that. I love that you can't really predict how many points your opponent is going to have at any given time. There's just so many different ways this can play out. And so lots of fun options here at the table. And these are just a few examples of all the different types of cards and interactions that you'll have on the board. And so it's definitely an aspect that makes Rocketeer a very unique game in that you've got a lot of strategy getting unpacked in your cards, but then a lot of ability to not plan based on how the events are coming up and which finale cards you may be given. It may force you to pivot and adjust your strategy, and that's a really fun shaping journey that you're going on as you go through the game. And that, in a nutshell, is how you play the Rocketeer by Funko Games. I hope you enjoyed getting a little bit of a look at how this game is put together, how it works, how the interactions between the 2 players will work, and of course, my favorite part, how you'll continue to play hot potato with the plans, hiding them, moving them, and bouncing them between the teams as you try to maintain your edge with the Rocket Pack as well. And so there's a lot of fun activities and actions that are going on in this game simultaneously. Lots of fun type choices, but I hope you enjoyed getting a look at it. But what did I think about it? Well, we've come to the part of the show where Tyler puts in his 2 cents. And I'm excited. I was excited about this game when I saw it at Gen Con. I was so happy that Funko gave me a review copy to look at and provide my thoughts and feedback on. So really excited to get this one to the table. And I wasn't disappointed. The game is small. And with 2-player games, I'm always intrigued by smaller box 2-player games. I'm like, how are you going to make this tight? And I've said this pitch before, but the thing that I like about 2-player games is in a larger player count game like Root or Cthulhu Wars or Lords of Hellas, player interaction, balance is always mitigated by the fact that there's a lot of players at the table. And so if I want to pick on blue for some particular reason, well, that's my choice. But there's a lot of other players who either may need to help pick on blue or can pick on me, someone else. And that's how table balance is maintained. But in a two-player game, of course, there's only two players. And so every interaction has to be very tight, very balanced. Nothing can feel overpowered or be exploited, or the game just falls into disarray. The thing that I really liked about the Rocketeer is that there were, lots of various ways to accomplish what you needed. Did you want to focus on area control? Well, you could do that. You could focus in that in a way of maximizing your particular faction's abilities, whether that's Cliff's very high mobility with his rocket pack to get around and out-position your opponent. You could use Lothar's ability of having more grit potential than other players and just brawling and knocking out the person you were competing with for area control to get what you want. So you could focus in that way to get the resources and bonuses that you need to get ahead. You could really focus on holding the plans, defending the plans, attacking to get the plans. And of course, you're always wanting to focus on how to get those finale cards. And there were just lots of different ways that you could work your magic in the game to accomplish those goals. And I like that. I like that there's multiple avenues to victory. And I found that really fulfilling, really rewarding in the game. And again, a thing that I like about this is the game does not take an exorbitantly long amount of time. You can jump in and play this game, especially if you both know what you're doing, in 30 to 45 minutes. You're done. You're out the door. And that's a wonderful time commitment for a game of this size. And I think that's a nice addition to the ever-growing two-player game area, niche in the industry, in that you can pick this up and play it in a very short amount of time and jump in and have a really fun experience with another player. Again, another gold star to me is asymmetry. I love that the factions are different, their decks are different. Now, in all fairness, they're not that different. They have different art, some different functions, but the cards, your deck is going to do kind of the same thing, but there's definitely a unique feel to the villains and the heroes and what you're trying to do and just kind of the lay of the land from the start of the game for you. And so those are things that I really appreciated and really enjoyed, was trying to figure out how to kind of balance and play to your strengths in a given faction. And so all those things are really, really positive. I like that a lot. Love that, you have this really visible timer with Luxembourg moving across the U.S. And getting to Los Angeles, and kind of where you're headed and what you're trying for. Finale points were great. I love that they're so diverse. It's really hard to tell what someone's going to be doing as far as points. You can start to try and get a read on maybe they're trying to collect grit tokens or they're trying to get clout or do specific things, but really there's just so many different ways to get points. It's hard to tell what someone's scoring, and so that's fun, getting in the mind games of what are they doing? What are they trying to accomplish? How do I? And so there's lots of fun things that you can be thinking through and working through there as well. And so lots of positives. In the negatives realm, this is a relatively straightforward game in the sense that if you play this 6, 8, 10 times, you're probably going to have a good idea of how the game's going to go. I wouldn't say that this has infinite replayability, but for the price point and what's on the table, you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. So I was not disappointed in that, but I do want to be transparent there. Again, I love the Rocketeer. Came out the year I was born, and so I kind of have a special little love for the movie. But, it's a strange IP to see come out these days. It's not probably super, super popular with everybody at this particular point. I was excited to see it come out because I like the IP and I'm familiar with it, but I was surprised to see it come out. And so you may be watching this review and say, what the heck is the Rocketeer? I doubt that it's on anybody's top 10 watch list these days. But if it sparks interest about a great old movie, I'm super into it because it was fun. It was enjoyable. It's a good movie. It's fun. Check it out. And the game really captures the vibe of that movie. The only other negative I'll make is just a few rulebook clarifications of the setup is really great, the rulebook is clear and easy to learn, but there's just some strange things of there's easy markings that could be made so you know where your starting setup goes because it's always the same, or various things like that that I just had to check in the rulebook that I was why is this not on the board? But those are, again, very, very minor complaints when you contemplate the fact that this is a really fun game. It's an incredibly cost-effective game. It's a nice small box game, smaller box game. And so my complaints pale really to the positives, which is it's a fun experience. It's unique. I love that it peppers together a little bit of dudes on a map, a little bit of hand management strategy and just some fun aspects of like hide and seek with the plans, where you're literally trying to shuffle your plans and keep them secret and keep them hidden. And so, excuse me, there's a lot of really fun elements here. So I would give the Rocketeer Fate for the Future as a 2-player game, thinking about that niche, that industry. I'd give this a 7.5 out of 10. It's really fun. It's really, really good. Are there other 2-player games that I enjoy? Absolutely. I don't know that this is going to dethrone War of the Ring or Rebellion as one of my favorite 2-player games, but this definitely made a quality mark and jump in my list of 2-player games that I'm happy to get to the table and play with someone, that I want to share with someone who hasn't experienced it, because it's a fun experience. So benefits to you as a gamer: it's going to add to your 2-player collection. It's definitely a unique IP section in the industry, so I think that's a plus. Cost, it's not going to break your wallet by any means to collect this game and add it to your collection, and it's going to give you some fun experiences playing a nice mix, a nice little hybrid of some various game types in the industry. So if you're looking for a little bit of a throwback, a little bit of a retro homage to a cool movie from back in the day that was a little bit of maybe war propaganda, but that's okay, it was fun. Check out The Rocketeer. It's a really great game. It's a really, really enjoyable experience. I think you're going to enjoy what you get in this box, and you're going to want to get this game to your table multiple times so you can experience the thrill of being the heroes and all the tricks and traps that the villains can pull. And so it's a great game. Again, really appreciate Funko for bringing this out and letting me get a review of it in. Super, super fun. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for listening to me ramble on, but thank you for coming to Meeple Mountain for your content needs. I hope you'll continue to check us out and continue to check back here and see all the cool stuff I'm doing. As you may have guessed, there's something cool coming in behind me that we'll be using for reviews. Lots of exciting upgrades still coming to the gaming dungeon down here. So very, very excited for that as well. But thank you again. I hope that you have a fantastic day as you watch this video, and as always, happy gaming.